Hello and welcome back to the ministry. And today we're talking about something that the Lord kind of put on my heart, and we're just going to flow through this. Lord, give me the words that you want me to speak in relation to this, because I'm trying to figure out exactly what He's saying too. But He gave me Cinderella and Superwoman. Last night He had me go through a few songs. It was Superwoman by Alicia Keys, Superhuman by Chris Brown, it was a Superwoman song from the movie, what you call it? Oh, it's called Supergirl, from The Princess Diaries, and Super Power, Beyonce, and Save the Hero. Now, at first I was kind of like, what? But then I started to get it. Because think about Cinderella. Cinderella was known for being the girl that sat next to the fireplace and the cinders came up upon her face, right? This was her. So she literally had to disguise her identity in order to meet the prince, right? A lot of us, and I have felt this way for years, that I have to literally become something completely different to live my everyday life. And this is funny. Oh, I'm remembering this. The other day I was on Instagram and I saw a clip of Jim Carrey, and he was talking about it was natural for him to be a performer, but he became depressed when he had to be himself, the person that he was on a day-to-day basis. And it's almost like he had to perform to be himself. And I get that. You may not understand that, but think about it like this. How many of you are creatives? You're a jack of all trades? And I was looking at my coach had put a post up on her Instagram the other day. Jack of all trades, master of none, but something about them having multiple makes you better than having one. A lot of us have so many creative talents that the Lord has given us, as according to the word where it says that the Lord gave the people the talents. They had, one person had one person had 5, one person had 7, and they multiplied it to 10 and all this kind of stuff. We've got that creativity, streams, income, all this kind of stuff within us. But it's difficult for us to be who we are in a day-to-day basis. Because in order to be those people, or the people that we are called to be, where God has called us in the industries and the places and the spaces in which we're called to, it's almost like we have to become a superhuman in order to attain that position. So what happens is Cinderella, everyone knew her as Cinderella. If we look in the Bible, a prophet is not respected in his own hometown. The people that know you best will not respect you because of the fact that they can't see you past who they always saw you as. My family sees me as the person didn't ever have a job. Won't complain about that. All that kind of stuff. Don't have a home, don't have any way of supporting myself, all that kind of stuff. But the people that see me out here, they are seeing the creative, the entrepreneur, the podcaster, the this, the that, the other thing, the person that is on her grind, getting to that place where I'm able either to support myself, or the Lord is going to bring the assistance that's going to make certain that all these things fall into place. Because you don't cast your pearls to swine. Look at what happened to Joseph. Joseph told his brothers what he saw in his dream, and they turned on him. I had a moment like that. I told a family friend that I had written my book, and they were more concerned about the fact, well, why didn't you put me in the dedication of the book? And the person just went off and tried to spiritually tear it apart. And then I showed another family member, or told somebody I wrote a book, and they sent me a text message trying to send it to somebody else laughing about the book in which I had written. It's like, she got that little book thing that she doing. And then when she realized, when I texted her back saying, oh, really, that's how you feel? She didn't even speak to me again after that. Sad to say, she passed away. But the fact of the matter is, your people can't see you. And even God gave me a dream this morning. I'm gonna have to determine how whether if I'm going to share it, if I share it at all, or if I just give a roundabouts. But I got to get through this part before I go there. And that's funny, I just looked at the clock. It was 7:17. 7:17 means God is going to elevate you, to be picked for elevation. Cinderella has to literally make major adjustments in order just to run from the life in which she's in on her day-to-day basis to become what it is she is called to become, in order to go to the castle and meet the prince and all of this kind of stuff. But then she comes back and then she's herself. I have met political people. I have met I've been in rooms and business meetings. I've closed 28 people to come to a business event. I didn't even realize I did that. I've been in business meetings, business groups. I've networked with people. I met a major football player. I've been in rooms with billionaires. I have been. And I just stood there and I listened to what they had to say. And I don't brag about that. I'm not sitting here looking for points for having been in those places. Yes, I was there. But if you would ask my family members, they would know that, because I don't tell them. Because they see me. Those people never saw this. Those people saw the person that was dressed up to fit the environment that it was in. I remember one time, this goes to show you how you dress and the environment, but I also know I was under warfare that day. Somebody offered to take me to a campus event here in the city. And they were like, yeah, I want to take you to this thing. And I wasn't going to go initially, but then I said, let me go. And it was like a business thing. And I enjoyed the entire experience. And I'm that person that I will get up. It's like, oh, I'm gonna just go and approach this person. People will look at you and be like, "Are you serious? You just gonna go and approach this person?" Yeah, I'm serious because that's the type of person I am. The person was standing there. I'm like, you think I'm not gonna approach them because they're standing there? And it was like what the enemy did to me. I lie to you not. Sent a woman that was confused to stand directly in front of me before I got to the person. So he sent like three people. Somebody said something to me. Another person came in that was confused, and somebody bumped me, I think, before I got to the person. And with all that confusion, I forgot the exact words that I wanted to say to the person when I got to them. See how the enemy do you? And I was not dressed that day for a business interaction. Because I was not dressed that day for a business interaction, the person didn't listen to me. So I always remember that. But with that being said, we have to become or have an appearance about ourselves. That's why the Lord changes our clothes and our garments to be able to walk into these rooms, fit into these rooms, so on and so forth. I remember my coach one point in time, she had an event she had to go through too, and she just went in wearing her regular day-to-day mom gear. And there were certain people that came towards her that were snobby and snooty towards her. And she was like, oh, okay, I'm going to show you. And she did. There was a 30-day goal, but she got it done in 45. Something that nobody else had done in that company the whole time that she was there. Or the whole time that the company had been open. Nobody had ever done what she did. Point being, we have to, now on occasion, us looking very regular is almost like a Trojan horse. Because we're a Trojan horse, people ain't looking for us to be, have, or speak the way that we do. But our superpower sometimes can be that we look regular. But when we get into these rooms and realms and we open our mouths and we speak what God wants us to say, it's like, oh, she ain't want to mess with. She knows what she's talking about. She's familiar with that thing. So she can speak about it. And if she's not familiar, she knows who to go to ask. So we have the superpower. But there is a level that comes with being the superwoman. That every time we go into our super space, we must have a hidden identity. Superman or woman had to have their personal identity and then their external identity with where they had to go, meaning the rooms, the realms, the places and people that they had to be with. Meaning Superman had to go and save people, so he had to have his S on his chest and the super costume and the hair and all that to look the way that he needed to be in that environment. But you don't see Clark Kent jumping up and saving somebody. It was rare occasion that Superman didn't have enough time to change before he saved somebody. Which speaks to us that as super people, because we have the anointing of God on our lives, that it's rare that the Lord will not give us the time to change. He will warn us, you need to change your garments. He will warn us when the garments need to change in order for you to become superwoman. But we still got to go back to our lives. Our superwoman, super lifestyle where maybe you're a celebrity or maybe you're a producer, real estate agent, whatever. It's like you go into those spaces and it's like you are the superstar. God has that thing. Yesterday I was seeing superstar, superwoman, super, right? And you're that person, the influencer. But it takes a lot of energy to go into that realm, be that high, be that elevated, be that so on and so forth, but come back down to your natural everyday life and be there. It says in the word that the Lord gave Paul thorn. Thrice Paul asked for that thorn to be removed, but God would not remove it. For us, being anointed for the calling in which we have on our lives to go into these rooms and these realms and these places that our character has to keep us in when the Lord sends us into these places, it takes a lot of energy. And the thorn in our side is almost our everyday life. We wish that we could either have, let me be there or let me be here. But the switch back and forth between the two, that's a thorn in our side. But he allows us to be pulled back down to reality in our day-to-day life to remind us you're not too high to come back down here. You still have the day-to-day life. You still have this, because if you stayed up there, there's a better chance that you would become prideful. You would be filled with greed, lust, all of these kinds of things. He reminds you to come back down to your reality. This is your life, not that. Remain humble. This is why I believe when God anoints his children to go into these places, spaces, industries, so on and so forth, he says that he has them get pulled out for long stretches of time. You ever notice people that really truly are serving God that are in these industries? They pull themselves out for a period of time. They don't stay there very long because they need the time away in order to become or clear their heads so that they are not allowing the environment to taint their character. So they have to come out, go into a state of isolation, and then go back. But as the superwoman, you have to become that thing. Meaning, you have to literally go from being the Cinderella where people don't respect you, you're the servant to everybody, still using the gift you have, but from a low position where you're being disrespected and all of this kind of stuff, from people that believe they have an authority over you and acting as Jezebelic characters in your life, not truly understanding that you are the superhero. You're the superwoman. You're the superpower. Now, why did I want to talk about superpower? In superpower, Beyonce talks about standing in front of the mirror and talking about identifying that you no longer look the way that you used to. You no longer all of these types of things. But the reason that you are able to continue to maneuver is because of the fact that you have a partner. A lot of our superheroes had that sidekick. Batman had Robin. And if you pay attention, you have Superman Superwoman, Supergirl, which are actually three different people that have no relation to each other and are not in a family together. They're three separate characters. But they are better able to be who they are when they connect, when the Superwoman connects with her Superman, which brings me to the song Superhuman. Chris Brown is talking about how being in the relationship or connecting or identifying his Superwoman has allotted him the ability to now see the world differently. But it's almost become his kryptonite having her in his life. Now this is where we get into kingdom marriage for y'all. These men are going to find us to be the thing that has become their kryptonite. Because he talked about being defective. Everything that they were used to no longer works. Because they no longer are the person that they were in that environment because of the fact that they have now identified the Superwoman that's meant to be in their life. And it's so interesting. Somebody brought to my attention, I think it was Prophetic Poetry, when she did her word on the Black Widow, she talked about the Hulk. The She-Hulk, I looked her up, and her it's either her weakness is his strength or his strength is her weakness. But that's what it's like. When you are in a relationship, even to go forth and talk about the characters from my favorite show when I was growing up, whenever they wanted to attack that woman, what they would do is touch somebody close to her. Take her mama, take her best friend. The other episode I was watching the other night, they poisoned her partner, which took her out of the headspace of the fight. The defective is the fact, and the kryptonite is the fact that by being in the relationship with that person, literally creates a blind spot. Not so much a blind spot, but a place that the enemy, like the Achilles heel, that's their soft spot. That's the way that the enemy can get to them if they touch something that belongs to them, a friend, family, something that's tight. And in this season, if you pay close attention, have you noticed that your family members or friends have been acting up on you and have been either directly attacking you, or they've been getting directly attacked and you haven't? But it was close enough that you could tell it was an attack. Why? Because that's a kryptonite move to you. You understand what I'm talking about? Because the enemy can't get to you. You have a supernatural thiophan of protection around you. He can't touch you. But he's going to hit the next closest thing that he can hit, which is whoever's around you. You may not even have a really good relationship with the person that's around you, but you realize that the enemy playing games with them. I can almost to a T tell you every single spiritual thing that is happening to the person that I'm living with right. I see the exact attack points, levels, degrees, and in which the enemy is because Because the enemy know it pissed me off, but I can't do nothing about it other than pray for him. Because Leviathan is a spirit you got to give to God. When that person start acting up, the enemy knows you want to. Everything in your spirit wants to call them out. I did that to somebody one time because I got fed up that day. And that person jumped at me the second I did it. Because that's what the enemy wants. He wants you to come out of character. Because the second that you come out of character, he got you. But with that being said, the song is pretty much showing you that. I remember I was watching the movie Hitch a while back. And Hitch, he had his suaveness, his ability, he did what he did. But his Achilles heel was the very thing he was good at, he was bad at for himself. So when he was attracted to somebody, he always screwed it up. Something bad always happens. There was some type of freak incident. All kinds of confusion would always occur when he was with somebody that he liked. This is how we are kryptonite to these men. It's confusion that may erupt in the fact of what they're used to, what they know. They can't put their finger on what it is about you, which is making them feel defective. They're like, this isn't my way of operation. This doesn't work this way. I have everything in order. How is this not working? And then everything else is falling apart because now I found this. Which brings me down to the female side of Supergirl. The song goes, I am Supergirl. I'm here to save the world. But I want to know who's going to save me. Which also ties into the song Super Save the Hero. Who's going to come in and save me from myself? A lot of us have had to become the superhero. In Superwoman, Alicia Keys talks about we run the house. But whether I'm going through something or I'm crying, even if I'm a mess, I still got to put on the vest. Put the S on my chest. Because you're the Superwoman. You got to be the Superwoman. You got to carry everything. But who's there to save the hero after she saves the world? Who's there to make sure the superhero's okay? We as women are naturally taught to take care of everything. I saw a post by Shula King the other day, and he was talking about men are looking for women that are just like their mother, but their mother was a single woman trying to take care of everything, so they expect their woman to do everything. But in all actuality, it's the man's job that's supposed to take over the house, the household, and so on and so forth. He was making a point of saying that if you come into a house and the woman has not straightened up the house, people think there's something wrong with that. But if they come into a house and the man is the only one that lives there and he ain't straightened the house, it's all right. But flip that around, that if a woman is living in a house and her lawn gets up, it could get up to 5 feet tall, and people are wondering, well, she's single, so what have you, but who hasn't done her lawn? Assuming that somebody should have done this. But for a man, if his lawn looks like that, it's like, why he lazy? He ain't mowing his lawn. The fact of the matter is, we as superwomen, and somebody was talking about this the other day, that sometimes we have to carry a lot, that in all the things that we have to do for our businesses, our social medias, our all of the stuff that we're trying to put our hands to in that time, sometimes our house doesn't look right. It's like currently right now, I'm fighting with a spirit on someone that every time I clean something up, it looks 15 times worth within 5 seconds. I'm like, what? And this happens everywhere I go. I'm like, what in the world? I get things completely in order. And I know what it is. I have discerned that the person themselves is a mess internally, and they don't know how to exist in cleanliness. So every time I get things in order, it irks their spirit, so they gotta mess it up. You understand what I said? So it drains me. And it's funny, I was listening to Jolene Whitaker the other day, and she was talking about this, that God's removing you from the people that are draining you, because it takes too much effort to do all of this kind of stuff. And God's been showing me that, which brings me to the snippet of the dream I'm going to give you, that I had a vision that I was in the company of somebody else, and everyone was looking at the person I was in company with, and I was seeing envy, jealousy, all this kind of stuff that was going on because of the company that I was keeping at the time. And because of this, it was almost like when you think of Cinderella. Cinderella couldn't bring the prince into her household because they would not have understood how to engage with this person, though the person is trying to engage with them because they are trying to be as normal as possible. The prince wanted to be the regular, average, everyday person, while the Cinderella, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to do this, I don't know whether it's going to be our next video, but it might be, Beyond the Lights. I'm going to do a review on Beyond the Lights. I watched that movie 2-3 times, and I watched it recently, so I can give you enough of a review on that. So that might very well be our next video. Let me see what space I got on this phone, and we may get to that coming up next. All right. This is Love, Faith, Peace, and Blessings. Until next time, bye-bye.